guys, welcome back to my channel, Designer Secrets, Tips, Tricks, and Hacks. My name is Lori, and today we're going to talk about the 5 most common decorating mistakes that a lot of people make when I go into people's homes and help them with their decorating and design. I see them all the time, so if you see something that you are doing, don't feel bad. It is common and a lot of people do it. So let's get started. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is artwork, and it's really easy to make these mistakes, and I don't blame you, but when I do walk into someone's home, this makes me want to beat my head against a wall because it's such an easy, simple fix. So I'm going to teach you how to do it properly. So the first thing on the left, you will see the top picture with a really nicely decorated home, but you have this huge wall of collage items, and that baby is adorable. However, there is too many art pieces with words on them. We don't want somebody to come in your home and have to read your walls. So it's all about moderation. And if anybody has live, laugh, love out there, please throw it away right now. Donate it. I don't care. Paint over it, make something else out of it. But that is so overused. It's just got to go. So instead of having to read your walls, you can maybe add it in something more personalized, like your last name and your children's names, whatever you want. But it's actually personal. Not everybody's going to have it in their home, and do it in moderation and make it substantial, like this Johnson family. It's a large piece, it's an impact piece, and it's personalized. So that is the right way to do something with wording. On the right, you will see artwork that is the improper height and size and spacing. So you'll see this picture right here that is way too high, and it's actually way too small for that gigantic wall. And it just kind of looks like it's floating in space and doesn't look good in general. To the right, you will see there are 3 pictures with too much spacing in between. And below that, a picture that is way too small for the area of wall between the window and the door. So if you look down below, you basically want to, rule of thumb, hang your artwork 6 to 10 inches from the top of the sofa. That is a really good way to easily determine where to hang it, and you want them about 2 to 3 inches apart. So if you go back, I've actually got a whole episode on this, episode 11, and you can get some more detail on what I'm talking about. And again, it's, as I've said in this other episode many times, it's the rule of 2/3. So you want your overall width of the artwork to be 2/3 approximately of the width of the piece it's over. In this case, it is a sofa. So the next thing that is a really common design mistake and is a simple, easy fix are area rug sizes. And you don't want them too small, you don't want them too large, and you want them to make sense in the room as far as creating a warm, cozy grouping, as opposed to just looking like somebody threw an area rug down and really it relates to nothing else in the room. So on the right-hand side, you will see the living room groupings. You either want it completely on the area rug. However, I am not a super big fan of that. And if you choose to do it, that's fine. A lot of designers do that. It's just a personal thing for me. I don't particularly care for the look. My favorite is in the middle there, where it's kind of a half on, half off situation. And if you look at the far right picture, again, you're partially on, partially off, even though those chairs are on an angle. So basically, you want to keep at least the front furniture legs on the rug. In a dining room, same idea. You want it to be completely on. However, you want to think about when the person sitting in the chair backs up and they don't want to basically be completely off the rug when they're backing up. And they don't want to have half on, half off when they're sitting at the table pulled in, because then you're going to create a weird feeling for them because their chair legs are going to be at two different heights. So these are some good rules of thumb. Measure your table, and you want, 18 inches, 2 feet. The proper amount of backup space for a dining room chair to a wall is 30 to 36 inches. And in the bedroom down below, it's got the king, queen, full, and twin sizes of beds. So you can partially put your bed on an area rug. You can put the whole thing under the bed itself, but you want it sticking out a couple feet. That way, when you get out of bed in the morning, if you have hardwood, you can still step on the rug where you're not stepping directly onto your cold, hard floor. So those are some good rules of thumbs for area rugs. And another thing that is really easy to do is make mistakes on window treatments. So on the far left, you'll see the cafe curtain with the little valance on top. It's really dated look. It's also got that kind of a ruffle detail where the rod sticks through and you bunch up the fabric at the top. So below that, you will see a better way to do a cafe curtain, where this has a grommet style rod pocket, and it is a nice simple curtain. It's very clean lined. You don't have a lot of crazy patterns, checkers and plaid and ruffles and everything. And quite honestly, you generally don't need that top valance, because when you have the lower half covered, that's going to block any kind of visual eye line from people outside being able to see in. In the second photo up top, you will see that it is a tie back curtain situation. Again, you've got the little ruffles on the top, which is a really dated look, and tie backs are generally very dated looking as well. There are some situations, but we are trying to simplify this. So I'm going to say just stay away from tie backs completely and make sure those curtains go all the way to the floor and don't necessarily have to match the height of the window, which, as you see below that, it's still a small window, but you have full height drapery curtains and you have nice clean lines and they go to the floor. So all is well and it looks good, more substantial and more luxurious, and something that I would want to see in a room. The top third photo, you will see you've got the kind of a scalloped ruffle valance and panels on either side. Typically, valances are out. However, if you look below, something you can do that looks very tailored and very current is the solid, I'm guessing that's wood, cornice piece, and you're still in front of your curtain panels, but it's just a more modern look. To me, the top picture looks like a funeral home from 1982. So let's stay away from that look. And the fourth photo is a roller shade, and I'm sure a lot of people have these, but they are very easy to tear. Um, they just are a super dated look. So instead of that, you can still do a roller shade, but make it a fabric or some kind of like a sisal or linen, something that's got a little texture to it and looks a little bit more substantial. The next design mistake I see quite a bit are lamps. Lamp styles are plentiful, but there's the dated looks up top there and more modern versions of these same styles below. So the first one, that's the urn lamp base with the bell-shaped shade. Again, very dated. You have that heavy look on the urn, and we don't want to look like grandma's buried in the bottom of that lamp. well, her ashes. Obviously, you couldn't bury her completely. So that was a little morbid, but looking below, you still have a similar kind of a curved base, but you have the barrel shade and a more sleek modern line. And actually, side note, that's going to be a lot easier to dust than getting into all those urn pieces up above. So below is an updated version of the shape and style of that lamp. However, you will see that the shade is smooth. It's not pleated. It still has a little bit of that triangular shape. So we're not completely getting away from it. It's just not as dramatic. And we have a nice simple ceramic base, but it does have a little bit more detailing and is in a more contemporary style. The third don't lamp is again kind of this pleated shade look, still a nightmare to keep clean. You've got the antiqued brass base that's really, really dated. And below it, you'll see we can do something a little bit more design oriented, still a metal base, still in an antiqued bronze or brass, and a nice contemporary rectangular clean lined lampshade. So if you like that general look, the updated version below is exactly what you need to do. And let's go back to our torchieres, which I talked about in the previous episode. Basically, don't do torchieres anymore. If you need a floor standing lamp and you need some lighting, maybe you're sitting in a room on the sofa reading. I understand you need some overhead lighting. But below, you'll see you've got this nice floor standing lamp with the arc that kind of leans over wherever the seating area is with a drum shade. So you can do this. It doesn't necessarily have to have that arc. Some rooms aren't big enough to handle it, but there are this exact same idea that is in a basic vertical base. So those are some good ways to update your lamps and make them look more contemporary and make the room look better. And speaking of lamps, lamp size is another thing I see that goes really terribly wrong all the time in my clients' homes. And too big and too small, not a good thing. So that lamp up top there, beautiful lamp. I'd buy that in a heartbeat. However, if you look, it is way above the sofa where somebody is going to be sitting. So it's going to be kind of hovering above their head. And the table size is actually a pretty small scale table, so you don't need to put this big chunky lamp on top of it. It's just way too big and overpowers that table. Now, the bedroom below, you've got the opposite problem. The lamp is way too small, and the style of the bed with the wings coming out there, really, that table lamp is going to have zero purpose. So, because that room, the furniture is so chunky and large scale, this lamp looks absolutely ridiculous next to that bed. So, thank you, lampsusa.com. Shout out. It's got some nice little diagrams here that talk about eye lines and how you want your bedside table and your maybe living room or whatever other room you have where you sit and talk with people. You want your eye line to be pretty much centered in the center of the shade. So that way the shade's not above your head, blinding you, looking directly into the light bulb, and it's not so short that it really does no good as far as lighting up your room. And the fifth and final decorating mistake that I see quite a bit is just basically too much clutter, too many things going on in your room. So on the left, you'll see you walk in this room and there is literally something every single spot in this room. So your eye has zero idea where to go. It Nothing stands out, nothing looks important. It looks like you've emptied out a closet and just put things everywhere. So it's very important to have negative space. And negative space means basically there's nothing there. You are giving your eye a second to rest before it looks on to the next item within the room. So on the right, you'll see what I'm talking about. Same general idea where you have a nice brick fireplace in the center and you've got your sofas and some decorative items, but there are still walls that have nothing on them. There isn't something in every single area of the room. You have the nice view of the area rug. It doesn't mean that you should not ever have a coffee table, but you don't necessarily have to if you have a smaller room and you want to create a nice open flow so people aren't tripping over things on their way to go sit on your sofa. So as you can see, you still have shelves with some decorative items on them, but it's not overwhelming and there's not things crammed everywhere. On your fireplace mantle, you have one nice potted plant, unlike the other fireplace mantle where you have plants on both sides, fireplace tools, a basket to hold the logs, and so on and so forth. So you get the drift that you do need to have some negative space in your room. That way, people look at your room and they see things in a more impactful way, and everything has its place and purpose. Okay, now that you have seen what the top 5 most common decorating mistakes are, if you have those going on in your own home, that's okay. They are easy fixes, as we talked about, and it's again very common. I see them all the time when I go into my clients' homes, but they can be changed with very little effort. So, if you have done any of those fixes or are going to do them, please comment on my video. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you don't like it, just keep that to yourself. I will see you next time. Have a great day.